Hello students. So in this lecture we will see about carbohydrate metabolism, which is an important pathway in biochemistry. So the lecture will involve first of all introduction to normal metabolism. What is metabolism? Some important definitions we will see in that. Then we will see two major pathways. The first one is glycolysis and the other one is Krebs cycle. So first of all, what is metabolism? So when we define metabolism, so it constitutes an entire spectrum of chemical reactions which occur in the living system, and all these chemical reactions are collectively termed as metabolism. Then there is the next term, that is metabolic pathways. So what are metabolic pathways? So here we consider a series of enzymatic reactions and they are going to produce some specific products. Then there is the next terminology, that is metabolite. So what is metabolite? So it may be a substrate, it may be an intermediate, or it may be certain product which is produced due to those particular metabolic reactions. Then these metabolic reactions are further divided into two types. The first one is degradative reactions, which are called as catabolism, and the second one biosynthetic reactions, which are termed as anabolism. And the catabolism is simplified, can be as a breakdown of complex molecule into simple one, and along with that there is generation of some energy. While anabolism is opposite to that, here there is going to be formation of complex molecule by utilizing some simple precursors or simple molecules. Now we will see what are the these biochemical reactions are further subdivided into four types based on the type of mechanism or the type of changes which we observe in them. So first one is redox reactions, the second one is group transfer, then there may be rearrangement and isomerization reactions, and the fourth one is make and break of carbon-carbon bonds. And all these four types of reactions, they are catalyzed by some specific enzymes. So we will see them as they appear or as we will come across to them. So first of all, we will go towards carbohydrate metabolism. So as we all know that carbohydrate is one of the major source of energy for the living cells, and among the other carbohydrates, the monosaccharide glucose it plays a central role when we talk about carbohydrate metabolism. Why? Because in all the major pathways which we will be studying across in this unit, they all are connected with glucose in some or the other way. Then other than glucose, there are some other monosaccharides also which have some importance, like fructose, galactose, mannose. And why do we are studying it? So it all metabolism pathways are important for diagnostic purposes, for identification of disease, to understand the pathology of the human body or the pathophysiology of the disease. For that purpose, we need to understand these different metabolic pathways. When we talk about the normal fasting blood glucose level, it is 70 to 100 milligram per deciliter, and liver is one of the major organ which plays an important role to monitor and stabilize the blood glucose level. So that's why it is termed as glucostat monitor. Now these the carbohydrate metabolism can be divided into two types, like oxidative pathways and synthetic pathways. So in oxidative pathways, glycolysis, HMP shunt, which is an alternative to glycolysis, and uronic acid pathways are majorly involved. While the synthetic pathways, where there is synthesis of some other molecule, is taking place by utilizing glucose, like synthesis of other carbohydrate like galactose, fructose. Then there is synthesis of glycogen through glycogenesis. Then there is synthesis of fat, that is lipogenesis. There might be synthesis of some non-essential amino acids. Now we will see some major pathways which are involved in carbohydrate metabolism one by one. So first is what is glycolysis. So it is the oxidation of glucose to pyruvate and lactose. It is also called as Embden-Neroff pathway. Then the other one is citric acid cycle. Then in citric acid cycle, there is oxidation of acetyl coenzyme A, which is produced by conversion of pyruvate to acetyl coenzyme A, and this is then intermediate step between glycolysis and citric acid cycle. Then there is This citric acid cycle, it is the final oxidative pathway for carbohydrate, fats, and amino acids. Then there is gluconeogenesis, where there is synthesis of glucose, but this is not from the carbohydrate sources. It is from some non-carbohydrate precursors like amino acids, glycerol. Then there is glycogenesis, where there is formation of glycogen from glucose, and opposite to that is glycogenolysis, that is formation of glucose from glycogen by breakdown of glycogen. Now, first of all, the first important metabolic pathway in carbohydrate metabolism, that is glycolysis. So as I told you now, it is defined as the oxidation of glucose. Now, in this pathway, as we have seen what is metabolic pathway, so there are sequence of reactions. So here also there are a series of reactions which convert glucose to pyruvate through a number of steps, and simultaneously there is production of some energy, that is in the form of ATP. So that is glycolysis pathway. It takes place in all the cells of the body, and the major site where it takes place is cytosomal fraction, because it contains all the required enzymes for this pathway. Now, when we talk about glycolysis in the absence of oxygen, when it is anaerobic, there is formation of lactate as the end product, while when there is presence of oxygen, like in case of aerobic glycolysis, there is formation of pyruvate, which is further oxidized to carbon dioxide and water. Now, in glycolysis pathway, as we have seen, there is formation of ATPs. So it is one of the major pathway for formation of ATPs for ATP synthesis, where there is lack of tissue or where in such tissues where there is lack of mitochondria. For example, erythrocytes, cornea, lens. So their glycolysis is the major pathway. Then for brain, for the supply of energy to the brain, glycolysis is quite essential. It is one of the central metabolic pathway, as most of the intermediates which are produced here, they are useful for synthesis of some other biomolecules like amino acids. And when we talk about the overall or the concise glycolysis pathway in anaerobic conditions, so there by using one glucose molecule and two ADP and two phosphates, two lactates are produced along with generation of two ATPs. Now we will see the aerobic glycolysis pathway in detail now. So it is, for simplification, it is divided into three phases. The first one is energy investment phase, the second one is splitting phase, and the third one is energy generation phase. So this is the overall pathway as you could see here. Now for simplification, I will be dividing it in two slides, but to show you an overall view, I have put all the pathway on the single slide. Could see that we have started with glucose, and through this 10-step process, we are concluding to a product called pyruvate. And in between there, some ATPs are consumed, some NADH or ATPs are produced. These are the catalytic enzymes which are involved for completion of this pathway. So we will see all these steps now one by one. So first of all, we will see conversion of glucose to fructose 1,6-bisphosphate. So this overall process is divided into three steps. So the step one is glucose to glucose 6-phosphate. Here phosphorylation takes place in the presence of hexokinase or glucokinase, and this step consumes one ATP molecule, and so it is a kind of energy investment. It is utilizing some energy. While further this glucose 6-phosphate get converted to fructose 6-phosphate by the presence of enzyme phosphohexose kinase isomerase, and this further fructose 6-phosphates again utilizes one ATP. Here again energy is utilized, and in the presence of phosphofructokinase 1, it is producing fructose 1,6-bisphosphate. So in these two steps, two molecules of ATPs are consumed. So that's why this is phase 1, that is energy investment or energy consuming phase. So this is about the first phase. Then in the next phase, which I have shown here again on the same slide, where you could see that fructose 1,6-bisphosphate, which is containing 6 carbon atoms, is split into two parts. The first one is 3 carbon containing glyceraldehyde 3 phosphate, and the other one is dihydroxyacetone phosphate, which is also termed as DHAP. So these two components are produced by splitting the 6 carbon fructose into two parts. So that's why it is called as second phase, that is splitting phase. So these are the first and second two steps, where aldolase is an important enzyme which initiates this splitting, and these products G3P and DHAP, these are interconvertible, and triphosphate, triose phosphate isomerase is an important enzyme which initiates this interconversion. So this is about phase 1 and phase 2 of glycolysis pathway. Now we will see the next part. Now the glyceraldehyde 3 phosphate, which is produced in the first phase, or in the second phase we could be saying, it's further converted into 1,3-bis phosphoglycerate in the presence of glyceraldehyde 3 phosphate dehydrogenase. Now in this step, one NAD is consumed to produce NADH and H+. This NADH and H+, it enters into electron transport chain. It goes to electron transport chain, and there it leads to synthesis of 3 ATP. There it leads to synthesis of 3 ATPs. So this is the first outcome for glycolysis pathway. Then the 1,3-bis phosphoglycerate, which is produced here, it further gets converted into 3-phosphoglycerate in the presence of phosphoglycerate kinase. Now during this conversion, what is happening? 1-phosphate is getting utilized to convert ADP into ATP. So here the phosphorylation is taking place. And how this phosphorylation is taking place? By utilizing the phosphate of the substrate. That's why it is an example of substrate level phosphorylation, and 1 ATP is produced here. Then in the next step, this 3-phosphoglycerate gets converted into 2-phosphoglycerate in the presence of phosphoglycerate mutase, and then next, in the presence of enolase, it leads to formation of PEP, that is phosphoenol pyruvate, and this phosphoenol pyruvate again leads to formation of pyruvate by utilizing this pyruvate kinase enzyme. Here the released phosphate is utilized by ADP and it gets phosphorylated to produce ATP. Now here again the phosphorylation is being processed by using the substrate compound. So that's why this is the second example of substrate level phosphorylation. So as you could see here in this third phase, which I have shown here, one NADH is produced, one ATP is produced, and here the second ATP is produced. So two ATP and one NADH are produced. So that's why this is called as phase 3, that is energy generation phase of glycolysis. So in this way, glycolysis pathway is divided into 3 phases. First, energy is invested. Second, splitting is done to produce 3 carbon units, and in the third phase energy is generated. Now here the other part, DHAP, which was produced by splitting phase, this DHAP also gets converted into glyceraldehyde 3 phosphate, and again the pathway continues and the second molecule of pyruvate is produced. So in this way, one glucose molecule produces 2 pyruvates, and similarly the energy produced will be doubled. So it will be producing 2 NADH and 4 ATPs. So this is about the details of glycolysis pathway, the various steps you could see here. I have again put up them on the same slide, all of them. Okay, and these among them, the first step where glucose is converted to glucose 6 phosphate, the phosphorylation takes place, that is the regulatory step. The second phase where isomerization takes place, glucose 6 phosphate to fructose 6 phosphate, that is again a regulatory step. And the next one where 1,3-bis phosphoglycerate is converted into 3-phosphoglycerate in the presence of phosphoglycerate kinase enzyme, that is the third regulatory phase in this overall glycolysis pathway. Now when we talk about energetics of this pathway, like how much energy it produces, so as we have seen, in anaerobic condition there is synthesis of only 2 ATPs, while in case of aerobic conditions it produces a total of 10 ATPs by utilizing one glucose molecule, and among them two are utilized in the phase 1 energy investment phase. So if we talk about the net ATP synthesis in glycolysis, so it is a total of 8 ATPs. Okay, 10 are produced, but the 2 are consumed. That's why the net ATP synthesis is 8 ATPs. So I hope this glycolysis pathway is clear to you. Now we will move towards the next phase, like the pyruvate which is produced here now. What will happen with this pyruvate? So this pyruvate gets converted into acetyl coenzyme A, and as I told you in on the previous slide, acetyl coenzyme A enters into citric acid pathway where it produces CO2 and H2O, and simultaneously various substrates are produced, intermediates are produced, and simultaneously there is generation of some more ATPs. So this conversion pyruvate to acetyl coenzyme A, it is an example of oxidative decarboxylation. Here the enzyme PDH, that is pyruvate dehydrogenase complex, it plays an important role. It is present in mitochondria. So the pyruvate which is produced in the cell that moves towards mitochondria, and there it gets converted into acetyl coenzyme A. It also requires certain cofactors like TPP, that is thiamine pyrophosphate, lipoamide, flavin adenine dinucleotide, coenzyme A, NAD+. So these are utilized here, and thus acetyl coenzyme A is produced. As in glycolysis pathway, two pyruvates are produced from one glucose molecule. So obviously two acetyl coenzyme A will be produced, and the NADH which is produced here, this NADH will again enter into respiratory chain to produce 3 ATPs. So we could count that 10 ATPs are produced in glycolysis pathway, 3 ATPs are produced in while converting pyruvate to acetyl coenzyme A. And the next one is now our Krebs cycle. So the acetyl coenzyme A which is produced here, now it will go into the next metabolic pathway, that is Krebs cycle. And in Krebs cycle, we will see how it gets converted into CO2 and H2O. So this cycle was postulated in 1937 by Adolf Krebs. That's why it is called as Krebs cycle, which made him to get the Nobel Prize in Physiology and Medicine in 1953. And it is also called as citric acid cycle and tricarboxylic acid. So when you will see the various products which are produced in this cycle, so that will eventually explain you why it is named as citric acid cycle. So Krebs cycle, it involves oxidation of acetyl coenzyme A, which was produced by conversion of pyruvate to pyruvate in the presence of PDH. It is one of the central metabolic pathway because it connects almost all the individual metabolic pathways. And I will like to tell you here the important point here, that it is provides the major ATPs. Like there only we have got 10, then pyruvate to acetyl coenzyme A, we got 6 ATPs, but the other important ATPs, like it is going to give us about 24 ATPs in this pathway. So it is the major ATP provider. And in addition to ATP, it also provides many intermediates, which will be further utilized for synthesis of amino acids, glucose, heme. So it is having a diverse functionality. And its location is mitochondria because all the enzymes which are required for it are present in mitochondria. And secondly, it is near to electron transport chain. So whatever cofactors will be produced in this cyclic pathway, those will directly move up to ETC and the ATPs will be generated. So first of all, what happens in Krebs cycle? So it involves combination of two acetyl coenzyme A, two carbon containing acetyl coenzyme A with a 4 carbon oxaloacetate. So that is the first step, and it leads to formation of 6 carbon tricarboxylic acid or citrate. Now these two carbons are further oxidized to CO2, and oxaloacetate is regenerated when it is going through the various steps, although there are total 10 steps in this pathway. And oxaloacetate, it plays the main catalytic role because it is the end product also, and it catalyzes this pathway because it catalyzes conversion of acetyl coenzyme A to citrate. And we should not be seeing this as a closed pathway. Why? because the intermediates which are produced here, those are further, these are also utilized in other biochemical pathways. So we don't consider it as a closed pathway. It is cyclic, but it is not a closed pathway. It is connected with some other metabolic pathways also. Now let's see the various reactions of Krebs cycle one by one. So the first one is formation of citrate. It takes place in the presence of citrate synthase enzyme. Then second and third, so there is isomerization of citrate to isocitrate via a cis-aconitate intermediate. Here aconitase is an important enzyme. It is a two-step, and there is first of all dehydration followed by hydration. Then step number 4 and 5, it is for formation of alpha-ketoglutarate. Here isocitrate dehydrogenase is an important enzyme, and in this step there is a formation of NADH also, and CO2 is liberated. Then comes step number 6, where alpha-ketoglutarate is converted to succinyl coenzyme A, and this alpha-ketoglutarate dehydrogenase complex plays an important role here. It is a kind of oxidative decarboxylation reaction. Then there is step number 7, where this alpha-ketoglutarate, which was converted to succinyl coenzyme A, the succinyl coenzyme A further gets converted into succinate by the presence of enzyme succinate thiokinase, and here a GTP is produced, and this is again an example of substrate level phosphorylation, because this guanidine diphosphate gets phosphorylated to produce GTP in this step. Then the eighth step is conversion of this succinate to fumarate, and along with that there is formation of one FADH2 in the presence of succinate dehydrogenase enzyme. Then step number 9, where fumarase plays an important role, which converts fumarate to malate, and simultaneously there is addition of one water molecule. Then in the next 10th step, the malate gets converted to oxaloacetate in the presence of malate dehydrogenase enzyme, along with formation of one NADH. Now this oxaloacetate which is produced here, it will be utilized back again in the step 1, where acetyl coenzyme A will combine with oxaloacetate and there will be formation of citrate, and the cycle will continue. So this is these are the 10 steps, and this is the overall cycle as you could see here. Acetyl coenzyme A, which was obtained from citric acid cycle, that will be which was obtained from glycolysis pathway pyruvate to acetyl coenzyme conversion. So that will interact with oxaloacetate. There will be formation of citric acid, then isocitric acid, alpha-ketoglutarate, succinyl coenzyme A, and then there is next succinate, fumarate, malate. So in this way, this cyclic pathway will produce. Here various energy components are produced, like one NADH, then the other NADH, then there is one GTP is produced, then next there is one FADH2, and lastly this third NADH. So it produces an overall 3 NADH molecule, one GTP, and one FADH2. So these are the energy outcomes of Krebs cycle, and these components will further go in electron transport chain, and they will be producing ATPs. Like NADH will produce 3 ATP, and FADH2 will produce 2 ATPs, and GTP will produce 1 ATP. So we will see the energetics now in detail. Like you could see here, one molecule of glucose by glycolysis will produce 2 pyruvate. 2 pyruvate will produce 2 acetyl coenzyme A, right? And this acetyl coenzyme A will go in citric acid pathway. It will produce 3 NADH, FADH2, and 1 GTP. And these will produce this much of ATP, like 1 NADH, 3 ATP, 1 FADH2, 2 ATP, and 1 GTP, 1 ATP. So in total, one molecule of acetyl coenzyme A will produce 12 ATPs, and when we are talking about 2 pyruvate, so there will be a total of 24 ATPs from the simple Krebs cycle. So in this way, it is the major contributor of ATPs in body. Now, in conclusion, I will like to tell you the comparative differences or similarities between glycolysis and Krebs cycle. So glycolysis, it is a linear pathway, while Krebs cycle, it is the cyclic pathway. In glycolysis, the location is cell cytoplasm where all the enzymes for Krebs cycle are present in mitochondria. So it is in mitochondria and it is nearby to ETC so that the NADH, FADH2, those will be converted into ATPs easily. Glycolysis can be aerobic and anaerobic, while Krebs cycle is aerobic respiration. Here we utilize one glucose, it produces 2 NADH2 and 4 ATPs, while in Krebs cycle there is one glucose, means 2-acetyl coenzyme A, which produces 3 NADH2, then 6 NADH2 from one glucose. Then there are 2 FADH2 and 2 GTPs, means a total of 24 ATP, and through glycolysis 10 ATPs are produced. So this is about glycolysis and Krebs cycle, the two important pathways in carbohydrate metabolism. I hope the various steps and the energetics is clear to you. And thank you so much for joining the lecture.